All right, addressing the elephant in the room. DJI is possibly going to be restricted on December 23rd, and at the time I'm recording this, that's only a few days away. As of right now, no US agency has stepped in to complete the required review. So yeah, it looks like that restriction is likely to happen. But before anyone panics, let's clear up the biggest misunderstanding right away. Your drone, your DJI drone, is not going to turn into a brick. Again, your DJI drone that you have right now is not going to stop flying. You will still be able to fly your drone, not going to fall out of the air. Nothing about December 23rd suddenly makes DJI drones illegal to use or illegal to fly. That's not what this is. What this actually affects is new drones, meaning drones that don't even exist yet. I read this headline that I liked a lot on Reddit, where they phrased the situation as DJI faces a US block of all new products on December 23rd. So again, think future stuff like a Mini 6 Pro, a Mavic 5 Pro, things that have not been released. Those new models would not be able to be imported into the US because they wouldn't be able to get FCC approval. That is the core of this situation. And before we get into everything else, I want to do a really quick outline of what we're going to discuss. First, let's talk about what we actually know for sure, all of the facts. Then I'll talk about what we don't know and some of the stuff floating around online that's basically just fear-mongering. Then we'll get into the questions you've been asking on social media. So first, here's what we know. December 23rd is not a ban date in the way that most people think of a ban. It's a deadline written into a law that gave the government 1 year to decide whether DJI and Autel equipment pose a national security risk. If no one makes that decision, and so far no one has, then DJI will be added to what's called the FCC covered list. That sounds scary, but all it really means is market access. FCC approval is what allows companies to sell and import radio-enabled products into the United States. So if DJI ends up on that list, they can't get new approvals. And again, that mostly affects future products. This is not an FAA issue. Nothing changes about airspace rules. Nothing changes about Part 107. Nothing changes about remote ID. Again, if you already own a DJI drone, there is no switch that gets flipped that suddenly disables it. Now, here's where things get a little more uncertain, and this is where a lot of confusion starts. People keep asking, okay, but what about drones that already exist, like the DJI Mini 4 Pro? That's already FCC approved. Can those still be imported? And the honest answer is maybe, but we don't know for how long. And even besides this whole ban and restriction situation, there have been supply chain issues for months now. In the US, you can't even buy certain drones directly from DJI, and stock on Amazon, B&H Photo, has also been limited. And ironically, it's not even really because of this potential restriction. A lot of that comes down to tariffs, trade enforcement, customs frictions, and yeah, retailers being cautious when there's uncertainty, which there has been the last year. But it's also worth mentioning that the FCC voted in October to give itself the ability to go back and revoke existing approvals, which would be case by case, and this is unlikely to happen, and it also is still very unknown. So yes, it's possible that current models stay available for a while. It's also possible that supply is going to tighten faster than people expect. So we honestly just don't know. Now, before we get into your questions, I want to say this because I think it's important. This feels like a pretty scary time for drone pilots. I get that. A lot of people are worried about their businesses, their gear, and whether they made the right purchase. But uncertainty does not mean the end of the industry. If you look back at the 2008 financial crisis, that was actually when a huge number of companies were born, like Uber and Airbnb. People adapted and they found workarounds. And that's the same thing that will happen with this situation. Also, language matters here. This is not a ban in the way people are using that word. And I bet that when, or if this happens in a few days, that word will be used even more. But remember, this is about restrictions, mainly around approvals, imports, and future availability. But calling it a ban makes it sound like drones are getting grounded or shut off, and that is just not accurate. On a practical level, if you're buying drones out of country or through less traditional channels, hull insurance can matter. For lower cost drones, it honestly just makes more sense to replace them outright. But for higher end drones, insurance can help manage risks if replacements become harder to source. And the most important thing to remember is this: your skills do not disappear. Your certification does not disappear. The need for drone work does not disappear. Equipment changes, markets shift, and people will adapt. Now, let's get into the questions you've been asking us. Why get Part 107 if DJI is banned? Well, DJI is not going to be banned, and Part 107 is a pilot credential. It's still valuable regardless of the brand. All of the drones that are sitting in people's homes right now will not stop working. When I return to the States after the ban, will my DJI drone get confiscated? Short answer is no. As of now, nothing in Section 1709 is about confiscating personal property. If anything ever changed to specifically target personal re-entry with drones, that would almost certainly come with clear guidance. And if that happens, we'll update you. Will I still be able to use my O4 Pro with my goggles N3? If you already own the gear, nothing about the December 23rd mechanism implies it stops functioning. Will we continue to receive firmware updates after December 23rd, 2025? The FCC covered list is about equipment authorization and market access, not software updates. There's no automatic legal trigger that forces firmware or app updates to stop on December 23rd. DJI could and will continue updating products, especially since they're used worldwide. Long term, we don't know what could happen, but for now, you should still be able to receive firmware updates. I just bought a Mini 3. Did I mess up? If you already own it, there's no evidence this deadline makes your drone suddenly unusable. Also, if you get a drone after December 23rd, it will not be unusable. Does it only ban DJI drones or all DJI products? Many don't know this, but DJI sells other products besides drones, like mics, I have one right here, camera gimbals, action cameras that are similar to GoPros. The statute language is not drones only. It targets DJI communications or video surveillance equipment and related services. Many DJI products include radios, so it could extend beyond drones. What exactly gets treated as covered equipment in practice is still unclear until specific FCC actions are taken. My Mini 5 Pro will be delivered after the 23rd. Can I still register it? FAA registration is about owning and operating the aircraft, not FCC authorization timing. If the drone is in your hands, you can register it like normal. So for now, the best thing we can all do is stay informed, be honest about what we don't know, keep flying the gear we already have, and adapt as things evolve. Because none of this changes the fact that your drone still works and the industry isn't going anywhere. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos or updates like this. Let us know in the comments what you think about this entire situation, and until next time, blue skies and safe flying.